So you think you're the best technician in the world? I challenge you to prove it. That's the topic of today's show.
Don't hang up that phone. We've found what you're looking for. Welcome to the Let's Talk Cabling podcast with Chuck Bowser, RCDD. What exactly does RCDD stand for? Registered Communications Distribution Designer. Just the expert you need to ensure your cable plant performs exactly as designed. Now, send the new guy to the truck for a bucket of dial tone and the cable stretchers, while you listen to an informative program on telecommunications.
So you think you're the best. There's only one way to really prove it, and that's at the winter conference at BICSI. They had the Cable Skills Challenge. Now, I've been aware of the Cable Skills Challenge for a long time. I've never participated in it. I've watched it. I've taken pictures of people doing it. I've had friends go through it, but I've never participated myself. And I reached out to BICSI because I wanted to cover this subject because there's a lot of technicians out there who think they are the best. But are they the best? The only way to really know is to actually participate and win the BICSI Cable Skills Challenge. So I reached out to BICSI, and they didn't send me one subject matter expert. They sent me two. The first one is Lee Renfroe. He's the owner of GoFro. He's the BICSI U.S. Southeast Regional Director. And I also have Betsy Conroy. She's a freelance writer, but she's also the chair for the Professional Development Committee. Welcome to Let's Talk Cabling, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. How's it going?
I appreciate you guys coming in on so late on a Thursday afternoon. Technically, I'm on vacation, but I wanted to get this pushed out. So I have some questions. All right, and Leo, let's shoot this first one at you. What is the Cable Skills Challenge?
The challenge is basically an open format of bringing together usually in the neighborhood of 16 to 20 competitors that compete with hands-on skills. There's probably up to like 7 or 8 hands-on tasks that we'll probably get into in a little bit, and there's a written test. There's an application process that you apply for. You have to have a credential, installer 1, 2 copper, fiber, or a technician to compete. And then you broke up into groups of 6 or 8, and then you compete with that group and go through the tasks over a day and a half or 2 days at the BICSI conference. So that's pretty much, in short, what the competition is.
How did this competition start, and what's the history behind it?
You know, Dave Richards is the one who came up with the Cabling Skills Challenge. I want to think we're probably somewhere in the 13 to 14 years, maybe 15. We did skip a year last year, so we're probably going to be closer to 14. You know, his history was being an instructor, being a technician in the field, being a master instructor. And so he wanted a way to bring technicians to the BICSI conference. And the way to do that was to open up the skills challenge and invite technicians to come to participate, to watch, and just try to open up the whole conference to more than just RCDDs and engineers and salespeople. Because there's a whole group of people out there and that hands-on every day that need representation and that need to learn to grow in the industry, and this is a way to do it.
Yeah, because things always get lost in translation, right? And when I used to work for a large cable contractor, I went to every BICSI conference, and I always went to the winter one because that was always the best one. It's got the most people there, the most exhibits there, and all this stuff, and the most training. And it was my job to come back with that training and then relay that to the field staff. And you all know, remember that thing in high school or maybe junior high where you tell your friend something and then your friend tells their friend something and their friend tells them. By the time you get to the last person, it's nowhere near the same thing that the first person said. So I'm kind of glad they do that because you're right. At BICSI conferences, it's always the RCDDs, the CEOs, the CFOs, and there's nothing wrong with all them people going to that. But the people who need the information the most are the people in the field.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those. You said there's some tasks to do. What's the first task they've got to do?
It kind of depends on what group they're in, but all in all, the first task that everybody does now is the written test. They have a 50 to 75 question written test, and it's straight from it's a manual. It's very much like one of the certification tests, the written part that they take. They have I think 1 hour to complete that. When they through with that, they roll into the show floor where everything's set up, all the racks. And so they go through a process of installing cable, punching down on a patch panel, terminating the jacks, testing those jacks, certifying them with a fluke meter. They also have to build several cables, like a shielded cable with jacks. They have to build a coax cable. Have a troubleshooting lab set up with fiber and copper where they have to troubleshoot links and identify different parts and pieces that you deal with. 66 blocks, 110 blocks, BICS blocks, they have to identify, and they have to look and see if the cable is properly terminated on those blocks. And then we roll into like fiber terminations where they have to put on a fan out kit. They have to do hot melt and unicam connectors, have to do a fusion splicing. And they have to do look at an OTDR segment with an OTDR and identify the parts of that. So it really covers anything that's in the ITSM manual and that's in the BICSI classes, the installation program. It covers every bit of that.
So I'm glad you mentioned the ITSM manual. I understand that the new one's being published in what, February, March, or some
I think
time
first
frame?
quarter. Yeah.
So if someone wanted to participate in the BICSI Cable Skills Challenge, would reading, or not saying reading because they should have read through it if they've already got their BICSI certification, right?
Yeah.
Should maybe go back and rereading the ITSM manual be a good process?
Yeah,
or good
definitely. Step? If it's been a while since they have taken a written test, they need to refresh on it, because we have had it come down to the written test being the difference of the winner versus second place. Wow. So it's very important.
The techs in our field, they are tactile learners.
Yeah.
Right. They learn when you put something in their hands, right? That's when they learn something.
Yep.
Some guys, they hate exams, and you'll see it all the time in the forums. They'll say, I don't want to get my certification because I've already graduated from school, blah, blah, blah. And if in this industry, if you are not learning, you're being left behind.
Exactly.
And you really, really need to involve yourself. Even if you don't like taking tests. There are programs out there to help you take that test.
And that's part of the process. Get them here, get these technicians just like me, get there, get to the conference, see what it's all about, and see how you need to grow. You may see something that'll help you grow. It'll prompt you to, hey, I want to be in that guy's shoes, or I want to do what that guy's doing. And it just gives you a platform to grow on. Once you get there and you see how the industry works as a whole, and you take your blinders off, you're able to grow and allow yourself to get to another level.
So a long time ago, when I used to be a certified trainer for Bixi, for our company, when we did the hands-on test, they would give you a sheet, right? And the sheet had like steps almost, right? Yep. Do they do the same thing for the cable skills?
Same thing, yes. They give you step-by-step instructions, and it tells you what to do, what they expect you to do. So it gives you, and then also the judges have the same, but on the judges, there's a score sheet. We can't give away how everything is scored or the points that are scored, but that's basically how you're given points for every single step, or you take away points for the steps that you missed. But basically, the contest is just like all the hands-on tasks that are involved with the installation program. So if you were going to a level 2 copper class and you were asked to punch down a 25 pair, or you were asked to terminate on a BICS block, those are the same events that are going to be in the Cabling Skills Challenge.
So if somebody's certified as an installer too, and there's another person who's a certified technician, wouldn't the technician have a hands up on them?
A little bit, but the winner is chosen based on the scorecard of their category.
Oh, okay.
So you can have an overall winner that is a level 2, which has happened before, and not a technician. So each one is scored per their level. You are responsible for knowing the whole book, even though you may only be copper, but the overall score, you can have a level 1 or a 2 or a technician win.
I'm trying to make a parable here. It's almost kind of like a dog show, right? So there's one classification for the working dogs, one classification for the hunting dogs, but then there's like one overall winner of the entire show.
Exactly. That's it. You're right. Okay. That's right. I've never heard it put like that, but that does make sense.
That's just the way my brain thinks. I got to break it down to the way I told somebody the other day, and they just kind of looked at me weird. So I'm just an old cable guy. So
Yeah.
you got to talk to me like an old cable guy.
Yeah, that's the way I do it. When I say I'm just from Georgia, guys, I'm just going to have to explain it to you the way South Georgia people learn it.
There you go. There you go. So you mentioned, before I ask about the judges, I remember when I took my T3 class, man, safety was big. I mean, really super big.
Yep.
I mean, to the point where, you would get gigged if you didn't have your safety glasses on right. Are they looking at the same thing at the cable skills challenge?
Exactly. When you show the process starts, even when they send in their application, they're sending their resume with it. But as soon as they step into that room where we have the orientation, the process has already started. It's about professionalism, safety, making sure you have the right safety shoes, PPE, all that stuff goes into the whole grading format. So yes.
I love the professionalism for it because, another area of quite contention in our industry is, well, if I'm working out on a construction site, why does it matter if I'm wearing a pair of pants that have a hole in the knees? Because they're just going to get torn up anyway.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. It's professionalism.
Yep.
It's professionalism. So it sounds really interesting. Let me ask you this. The judges, who are they and how do they judge?
So it's a combination of subject matter experts from different companies. A lot of them have been trainers before. And that I don't know if there is an actual requirement for being a judge per se, but a lot of them have either been a certified trainer before at some part of their career. Some of them have been competitors before that have done really well in the competition and competed for several years. A lot of them work for vendors, manufacturers that bring in their equipment. So you'll have like Fluke. They may send two people to help with the fiber competition, and they'll be part of the judging staff for that. So it's just a combination of industry experts.
Now, are the judges' names announced before the Cable Skills Challenge?
I don't think they're announced before, but as soon as you walk in, there's usually a big list of all the competitors and the judges at that point.
Yeah, because it makes sense because I understand the certified trainer, but I can certainly see, especially with like the fiber lab, and since you mentioned Fluke, I can certainly imagine somebody from Fluke, like their trainer, or maybe even like an Adrian Young or somebody coming down.
Exactly. Yeah, Adrian was there last year, or maybe the past 2 years, and he's been a wealth of knowledge there with us as the other trainer. Judges are there. He helps us, set up the machines and get that, So that really helps, especially with. I think Expo has done it sometime, and they'll do part of the testing too. And so when they have their people there, it really helps.
Yeah, Adrian and I used to work together, and that's what the comment I made earlier about simple it down because I'm a cable installer.
Yeah,
that's because of talking to Adrian.
Okay,
you ask him a question, he has forgotten more about testing than I know about testing, and exactly. you got to tell him, remember, I'm just a cable guy.
Yeah,
so he's very, very, very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. So what do the winners get for winning this thing?
The grand prize is $5,000, which is incredible. That's a lot of money for somebody to take away from the competition to earn, in just a few hours. There's also a lot of gift cards, tools, donated apparel, just pieces of equipment. So some people get. There's I think we've had iPhones in there before, a lot of different gift cards, different hand tools, Klein tools. I mean, so you could walk away with $5,000 plus tools and goodies. So, and that disperses out. So the grand prize person gets a good pick. And then if it's a first place winner in their division, or second place or third place, they may walk away with a side pouch, snips, and a punch down tool or something like that.
Yeah. I read a book many, many years ago. One of my former mentors I used to work with, I had to read one business book every year. And I got this one, it's called, and I'm trying to remember the name of the title. I think it's called Good to Great, if I remember right. And there's good companies and there's great companies. And the great companies are going to be sending their technicians to participate in this because, number one, they're going to learn. Number two, how do you put a value on the recognition when you're responding to bids and the technician who's running your project won the Cable Skills Challenge.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you put a monetary value on that?
Yeah. It's definitely good publicity, and it shows that you take pride in
Right.
your people and you're proud of who they are, and you can promote that. So yeah, definitely. They all get to wear their company shirts. So they can promote their company while they're there.
Yeah, I mentioned that I've walked around the booth before outside, because you can, when you're at the exhibit hall, you can walk around the outside of the Cable Skills and watch them do their stuff. And my brother, who's also in communications, his company always sends a couple of people every year, and so I knew that they were coming here. So I had my phone, and I was going around, and I was doing pictures of them and stuff, and I'd send them to my brother. And then that night, after they got done, he'd send them pictures, and they go, "How did you get pictures of me doing this?" Oh, wait a minute, your brother was at the conference, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Catch them while they're on the job, turning them in. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. Now, this one might be more in Betsy's area. Betsy, has there ever been a female in the Cable Skills Challenge?
Yes, thanks to Women in Bixi, which kind of started probably around the 2014 timeframe. After a few years, we grew, and we got this idea that wouldn't it be great to have a woman participate in the Cabling Skills Challenge? And that's a little tricky because, there's less than 20% of jobs in our industry are held by women. And when you talk about installers and RCDDs, we're talking more like 5 to 10%. So, there's not a huge number of women out there that are signing up for these types of things. So it was our goal as, the Women in Bixi group to bring a female to the competition. So we started doing that, I think it was in 2017. And we sponsored that woman, financially sponsored her through Bixi to, to pay for her travel costs and everything. And so, so we have had a woman compete now. Like Lee said, we didn't have the competition last year thanks to COVID, but for the past 5 years for the Cabling Skills Challenge, we have had a woman participate.
Nice. As an instructor, I've learned that women are better students than men.
Oh yeah.
I've learned that as an instructor. Men come to a class with this preconceived notion. I already know this. You ain't going to teach me nothing new. Well, not all men, but the majority of men. Absolutely. Because I still teach professionally as a living, and I teach, in the ballpark of probably 2,000 people a year. And by far, the women students always outshine the male students, almost always do, especially when it comes to fiber terminations. They are way better in fiber terminations than most men are. And I'm not sure, I can't put the pin on and say why, but just from my experience, just from watching it. So we haven't had a woman win the BICSI Skills Challenge. Am I hearing you correctly?
We haven't had a woman win the overall competition, the $5,000 prize, but we've had some success. In 2020, our Women in Bixi supported contestant was, her name was Ashley Kellison, and she took first place for Bixi Installer 1 and copper cable terminations with fire stopping and bonding and grounding. So that was really exciting, for us to, for our little Women in Bixi group to be represented there. So really fun.
What is Bixi doing to try to attract more women to participate in this?
So this year, we're very excited that the Cabling Skills Challenge is back again. And this year, we do have a grant. It's the Bixi Cares Women in Bixi Cabling Skills Grant. And this grant has been made possible from Bixi through the Bixi Cares Professional Development Scholarship Fund. And it's a year-round fundraising effort that's designed to support the ICT community and professional development. So, and anybody can donate to this fund at any time throughout the year you can just do that through the website, through the Bixi Cares page on the bixi.org site. And one of the things that fund, it includes is this Cabling Skills Grant for a female to compete. So in order to apply for that grant, you have to have been accepted as a Cabling Skills Challenge contestant. So you basically sign up, just like what Lee was saying, you sign up to be a contestant with the Cabling Skills Challenge, and then there's a separate application that you can sign up for as a woman for this financial assistance. You know, there's a lot of young women out there. Some of them are single moms. They don't have a lot of resources and funds. And so to be able to come to Orlando for the winter conference and compete may not be a reality for them. So this grant actually ends up paying for their airfare, transportation, lodging, and their meals. And then, of course, as a Cabling Skills Challenge contestant, their conference is also paid for. So it's really a great opportunity for a woman technician or installer to come and compete in the competition.
So does the scholarship, does it go directly to the applicant, or does it go to the company that they work for?
It essentially, it goes to the applicant. All of their expenses are reimbursed through Bixi. So,
nice.
you know, the one thing that we do ask, of course, as with all Cabling Skills Challenge contestants, is we want that person's company to support them to go, of course, you know. So, but this is a great way, you know, for a woman to say to their boss, you know, hey, I just got this grant, so I'm going to go and compete, you know. So and it's a separate application process that they have to fill out. So there's some additional questions that allow us to kind of determine who is the, you know, the best candidate to compete.
Yeah, I could definitely see this as for that company that's right on the edge about, should I send somebody to go or should I not send somebody to go? Because, you know, we did have COVID. I could just see this giving that company that last little, yeah, send them.
Yeah, and I think because it's a woman competing, which is rare, you get even a little bit more recognition out of it, you know. So that's kind of, it's exciting, you know. It's notable.
Yes, and some exciting news out of Bixi recently, right? It just happened, yesterday, the day before? I don't know, this whole week's been a blur, because like I said, I've been on vacation this week, and I've had the grandboys, so it's been a blur, right? They extended the application date.
Yes, so originally we were looking to have the Women in Bixi, you know, the Cabling Skills Challenge grant done by, I think it was December 29th. And then we extended that to January 7th, because that's the same deadline to apply for the Cabling Skills Challenge. So it made sense for those to match up and to give people a little bit more time. And you know, historically, we've gotten a lot of people that do apply for the Cabling Skills Challenge right around the holidays. So, you know, we wanted to be able to have that little extra time. So it's exciting. And, you know, if they, we're also having a Women in Bixi event at the winter conference, and that female contestant that we sponsor will be recognized there as well.
So is that close of business on the 7th, or is that 12 p.m.?
That's a good question.
If you don't know the answer, we'll you know, just let me know and I'll put it in the show notes.
I mean, I'm assuming the 7th is the 7th, and if it's 11:59, you hit submit.
and I'm pretty sure that's probably what it actually is, you know, but I know if I don't ask the question, I know somebody will send me a message. What is the actual deadline? I can see it. I can really see it.
And it's a simple process, you know. I mean, especially if you've already, you know, submitted to participate in the Cabling Skills Challenge. This is just a little extra form. We kind of want to know about, you know, what makes you want to compete, what makes you want to represent women in the industry. And then, you know, we just ask that our chosen contestant, you know, performs to the best of their ability and has a positive attitude, and you know, and comes to our Women in Bixi event and things like that. So
yes, I think that's a great thing. I really do. And I think our industry, and Lee will probably, you know, second this, our industry is getting old, hence the gray hair, right? And we need to attract younger people into our industry. And that's one of the reasons why I started the podcast, because I know they like consuming information, you know, via podcast, YouTube, TikToks, all that stuff. And we need to attract more people, more diverse people in this industry. And I really, really like the fact that BICSI's gone out and they're doing all this extra stuff that in the past, it's never really been done to the extent it's been doing now. And I'm glad to see them really, really pushing this out.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, it's a great career for a young woman. And, you know, this is just, I mean, for any young person really, but, you know, we want to make sure that women understand that they can also be Bixi installers and technicians.
Yeah. There's a lady I interviewed, Maria Marino. She's an electrician out in California. And I kind of asked her that same question, and she gets hit that with all the time. You want to be an electrician? Why do you want to be an electrician? Because it's rewarding, just like any other job is. Just not everybody's wired the same. Not everybody wants to, look at prints all day long with their digital scale master and have numbers floating around their head, right? Everybody's wired differently. So very cool. So this is actually to both of you. Is there anything new that you wanted to touch base on that's going on within BICSI or your committees before we close out the interviews?
I'm just excited that we're having a conference again. Yay! I mean, we've had conferences, we've had hybrid conferences, but it's going to be really exciting to have the winter conference in person again. Missing out on 2021 winter conference was just kind of a bummer. So we're really excited about it. We're hoping everybody comes to the conference. It's going to be a good time.
Yep. Yeah, the COVID shut the industry down right after the winter conference in 2020.
Yeah, so we had the winter conference in February, and then boom, COVID hit.
Shut down. Yeah.
And we had the fall conference in Vegas this time, but being back in Florida, that feels like home, because BICSI's in Tampa, you're headquartered there, so you always feel like that's home team, home. So to be able to have it back again, it's going to be great. I would like to mention too, and you may not know this, Chuck, but the conference encompasses it's an international competition. So there's going to be, we usually have competitors from Japan, EMEA, Australia. So we've had in the past a really global representation into this. And almost, I don't remember the exact amount of points, but within, 15, 20 points of having an international winner one year. It was great. I would just be ecstatic for a woman representative of women in BICSI competitor to come in and just whip up on everybody and take the crown. It would be great. I think that would be really cool. And I feel like it's going to happen one day. So this may be the year.
Well, mark my words, it will happen one day.
Oh yeah.
And I'm hoping sooner than later. I really do. And I did not know that about it. It's open up to the international. That makes a lot of sense, because I learned, that's something I learned from doing the podcast. I just assumed this would be a U.S. based thing, and I'm getting questions from Saudi Arabia and Peru, and I'm like, okay, well, the NEC really applies to the U.S. It's pushing me outside my.
So the way they do for the international competitors, because some international people do not have access to the BICSI training. So if you are an international competitor, I think your years of experience has to be a certain number of years. I don't know what that is, but if you do get approved at the international level, you have to come in, and you have to come in to compete at the technician level. I think that's the only drawback to that, is they come in at the technician level and they have to compete with all the other technicians. Yep. But yeah, and it's cool to watch, how they perform when they come in. Their mannerisms and their work is totally different than what we do here in the U.S. The end result and the end product is the same, but the way they do the work is really cool.
Right, because they might be following the ISO standards instead of the ANSI standards, and while they're similar, there are differences between them. Yep. And stuff. You got some exciting stuff going on at the conference too. I hear you're going to be a keynote speaker.
Yeah, both of us are. Yeah, we're gonna do there's a midweek keynote, and me and Betsy get to sit down with Blake Ermos and with Low Voltage Nation, and we get to have a chat. That's going to be really cool. It's going to be simultaneous broadcast, if I'm not mistaken, on a BICSI platform and the LVN platform. So I'm really pumped about that. I'm just pumped about the whole thing. I mean, we're like a month away, and I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm ready to get there. I think my wife and daughter are ready to go to Orlando again and get to some parks and stuff. So yeah, we're just going to be a good time.
Yeah, and the hybrid conference has been wonderful. It's been the presentations have been amazing. The information that we've gotten has been amazing. but there's just nothing like seeing all of your colleagues in person and, just kind of getting together again and seeing people face to face. So it'll be really exciting.
Yeah, we're wired for personal contact as human beings.
Exactly.
We just are. But I will say this, because when they came out with the first virtual conference, I got to admit, I was extremely hesitant because I'm a boomer. I don't like technology. But I tell you what, after I attended the first one, I was like, wait a minute, because as in the live conferences, a lot of times they would have two different events going on at the exact same time, and you had to choose between one or the other, and you couldn't attend both.
Yeah. With
the virtual, you can attend both. It's like,
well,
yes.
And the good thing too is, even if you go to the live conference and you do miss something, you have 30 days to go back and review anything that you want to see. So the platform is really expanded what we do. I mean, it kind of has its benefits. So it's kind of good that we had to go there and go through that, because it's really broadened the whole platform. So, but yeah, I just encourage anybody right now that's interested, go to the BICSI website. There's a registration page there. You can look at the past winners. You can go through the several years of history there and look at that. There's a lot. There used to be a photo gallery on there that I think you can still scroll through there. And get the application in front of you, print it out, fill it out, get somebody in your company involved, because I want to think that we're at a 16 person max, 16 people for competitors. And they do that so that they can round robin the people. It maybe it's 18. It's 3 groups of 6. So you have 18 competitors is what it's limited to. And that fits the format of the conference and the time frames. So if you want to get in, you get in early.
And do it before the 7th.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
before the 7th.
And if you're a woman, after you fill out that application, fill out the, application for the grant. I mean,
definitely. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you get both of you being on the show and your time. And I look forward to seeing the winner. And I'm going to be rooting. I'm going to be rooting for the one that comes down on the scholarship. That's what I'm doing. All right, everybody. I appreciate you coming. Until next time, everybody, remember, knowledge is power.
That's it for this episode of today's podcast. We hope you were able to learn something. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Also, leave a rating so we can help even more people learn about telecommunications. Until next time, be safe.